Welcome back to Packernet. Okay, there we go. We did the intro. Now we can get back to the spicy pre-show conversation that we had going. We were talking about a couple interesting things, and I want to make sure we hit both of them. First of them was, Ryan, did you see the Chicago Bears draft grades that were getting handed out? Because those were, honestly, maybe lower than they should be. I mean, are the Bears even getting enough credit? Like, I saw a ton of A+, but don't they kind of need an A++?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we actually were here basically on time. We just been ranting for 15 minutes and forgot to hit record. But, so, sorry about that. No, the Bears do not deserve an A or a B or a C. I think the lowest grade I saw on that chart you handed out was like a D-. Pretty much everything is a C, B, or an A. Everybody's pretty polite with their grades. They're just stupid, but they're polite. There's probably been worse drafts. I can't think of a single worse draft that I've ever seen in my entire life than what the Chicago Bears did. You get a solid C for Caleb Williams because it was neither good nor bad. It was the obvious choice that 32 GMs would have made being put in that same situation. Nobody gives a crap. Congratulations for doing exactly what you were supposed to do, for being handed a quarterback. Rome Odunze was
might have taken Jaden Daniels.
Possibly 2 or 3, maybe. That's fine. Doesn't matter. In 3 years, we'll find out if that was the right pick, and if it wasn't, then. And that's the other thing. You can only make bad decisions in the top 10. You can't make good decisions. These players are handed to you, and if you hit on them, who gives a crap? It's a top 10 player. If you miss, you're an idiot because you missed on the top 10 player. Rome Odunze was terrible. Trade that pick. You have 4 picks. Trade it. Go get more. You don't need Rome Odunze. You can get a solid wide receiver later. Get an edge rusher. Grab it. You need an edge rusher. You need defensive tackles. You could use another safety. You need more corner help. You need a lot of things. You don't need a third freaking wide receiver. Trust me, your wide receivers are going to be open. You got 2 really good ones. You're fine. Amagaji, you got a backup tackle. You didn't have a second-round pick because you're stupid. So in the third round, you get a project tackle that's not going to start. Your GM even said so. Then in the 4th round, you get a punter, which is the dumbest pile of crap ever. Even if this is the greatest punter of all time, which I doubt he's going to be, because they always say this kind of stuff. I went back and looked at them. All the top punters, guess how many of them are really tearing it up right now? 0. There's no top punters that were drafted in the last 5-6 years that have gone on. Most of them are not even in the NFL right now. One of them, because of some legal stuff that's kind of a little dicey, but whatever. We'll see whether or not he would have been...
He got cleared and got, added back into the NFL. So is he already out again because he sucked at football or what?
I thought he was.
Chiefs have him. I think
the
Chiefs signed him.
The Chiefs picked him up. All right. Well, we'll see.
So.
We'll see how he pans out. Which, by the way, his consensus grade was higher than Torrey Taylor's. So this whole this is the greatest punter prospect we've seen in 100 years is not true. It's the greatest we've seen in 2 years. Actually, yeah. I mean, this year and last year, because 2 years ago, Areza was a higher graded prospect. And then you gave away a 4th-round pick for a 5th-round pick to finally come up and get an edge rusher. Congratulations on a 5th-round edge rusher. That's probably not going to do jack squat for you. And you gave away a pick for next year. A 4th for a 5th. That's fireable. If I'm an owner of a team and you give away a 4th for a 5th, you're an idiot and you should be fired. I don't care what year it is. That's irrelevant. You don't give up a 4th for a 5th. This is garbage. This is trash. Those are my thoughts on the Bears draft.
I'm a little frustrated that Goody wasn't calling up Ryan Poles and offering him his fourth next
Yes.
year.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
fourth this year, fifth.
Yeah.
You know,
Give me whatever. I'll take it.
Right? You got 168 and 169 fifth round picks. Goody's guys like, you giving
Yeah.
up fourths for those? I'll take them. You
Yeah.
giving out future fourths? Okay. Call
There's
me up
two
next
things-
time. Like, I'll
there's
get
two things that the
involved.
Packers don't do that frustrate the heck out of me, because I just feel like if I was a GM, I would be trying this all the time until it finally worked. One would be trading away all of this year's picks that you can for better pick in the future year. Like,
Yes.
hey, here's my second this year. Give me your first next year.
Right.
It frustrates
Every year.
me no
You would
end.
get 2 first-round picks every year. And guess what? You can get your second round back. Guess how you do it? You give up your third. You give up your third for a second. Now I got 2 firsts and a second. And you just go all the way down the line. I'm going to have 2 of everything forever. It's so stupid that people actually defend that. Like, well, it makes sense because it's next year. It's lower value. No, it's not. It's not.
You tell me that if you called around, you couldn't, like on draft day, on Saturday, you couldn't give up all your 7th round picks this year for 6th round picks next year. You tell me you can't make that happen.
sure.
There's nobody
I would
who's
do
sitting there
that.
like, oh, dang, the one guy I wanted is kind of falling. 6th next year, that's like peanuts. Sure, I'll do it. Whatever. I'll
Yep.
give my guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and the
guys
other thing would be-
chomping at the bit to get those priority undrafted free agents. They really want to grab them. You want them? You can have them. Give me your 6 next year. I would do that for all my 7s.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I think we greatly, and because of the nature of the NFL and how owners view picks, right, and how owners view like team building, they view it so short term,
Right.
that they're not thinking about next year's picks. They're not doing what like teams in the NBA. I think the Thunder have like 11 first round picks from like last year to like 2029. That's insanity. And so like nobody would dare do that, right? Like that's, I don't know, it's insane that nobody views it that way, but obviously it's because of, because Jerry Jones, he's sitting there, he's like, well, how many years I got left? We got to go win now. Like,
Right.
it's, that's how the owners
I'm
are
gonna
thinking.
be dead
So-
next year.
Exactly.
But shame on the
Exactly.
Packers for not taking advantage of that, I think, is the larger
Right.
point. That's what
Yeah, for sure.
you need to get. If you're a long-term vision team, take advantage of these idiots. Fine, great. Yeah, the Bears and the Vikings and the Lions all playing desperate. The Cowboys are desperate. Make them pay for it.
Yeah. 100%.
I also just want to say, and you guys don't have to endorse this because I don't want you guys to get canceled. The Packers need to stop hiring white people because of this expanded Rooney rule that lets you get 2 free 3rd round picks every single year.
That's
Look what the
fairly
Niners
true.
are doing.
Yeah.
Abuse that rule like the Niners are.
Yeah.
Why would you hire anybody who's white? Just saying.
They well, I will say they better be very good. Like it's like, it's not even worth the extra picks because this guy's so good. But yeah, you're right. All things being equal, it's not even close.
Okay, so we have a bunch of new draft picks, and I did not get to talk to you guys on the stream over the weekend because I was at the draft, which I really did not enjoy. Detroit is a cool city. The people did not behave like cool people. I will just say that. So it was kind of interesting. I went there with my father-in-law. He's a big Lions fan. I thought that he would have a lot of fun. Don't think either of us really had that much fun. First of all, in case you're thinking about going next year, if you wanted to have a good spot to stand, you had to get there about 10 hours ahead of time and then just stand in place for 10 hours. It was, even though it was April, it was relatively warm and we were not drinking any liquids because, it's nowhere to go pee. We were so thirsty the whole day long. There were people around us who were not thirsty because they were incredibly inebriated. I had one guy passed out and fell on me and hurt my shoulder. And then another guy threw up on my father-in-law. So that was cool. He was like spitting all over. It was disgusting. That was not fun. And then they were all the Lions fans there. I would have had so much more fun if this was next year in Green Bay. The Lions fans there, like after you would like stand there and talk to them for a couple minutes, they'd be cool. But they all started out as D-bags. And then during each Packers pick, they were booing so loud I couldn't hear Goodell. I was getting shoved and people were yelling at me to go home to Wisconsin while the Packers are like on the clock. I had my phone up because I was like trying to record our first round pick getting selected, and somebody smacked my phone out of my hand. Thankfully, it didn't get damaged or anything, but that still sucked. And there's all kinds of like boo Green Bay, and they were chanting "F the Packers" the entire time the Packers were ever on the clock. They just chanted as loud as they could, "F the Packers, F the Packers." It was super fun. So yeah, next year with a bunch of Packers fans there, should be a lot more fun. Not expecting Packers fans to be less drunk than the Lions fans were, but
no,
Can probably
hopefully
handle
it'll
their
be
alcohol
nicer.
a little better.
well, that's fair. That's fair.
So, but at least we had a wedding band to listen to. They weren't that good, but at least it was, it wasn't silent. So there was that. But Detroit is actually kind of a cool town. We had fun when we weren't like at the draft.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I think they kind of dropped the ball on was there was just like nothing to do there. Like there was the stage, and then like Toyota had a couple cars out that they wanted to talk to you about, and that was it.
That's terrible.
There was
That's
nothing to do.
awful.
It's not Toyota-thon yet.
Wow.
At least that's what my TV says.
That's
so I don't know
crazy,
what you're
'cause
doing
it's-
out there.
And now
Little
that I think about
Caesars
it,
go ahead.
no, I was going to say, now that I think about it, every other draft, they showed tons of stuff going on. Like, Tennessee or whatever. They showed the crowds. They showed the bands. They showed, Vegas. They showed everything. They never showed anything in Detroit. They showed the stage, and that was it. So that does make a lot of sense. They were bragging about breaking records, which I guess is cool, but it kind of makes it worse when there's just nothing to do. And that's
Little
crazy.
Caesars had this one section kind of cordoned off where like kids could like race with their friends to see who had the better 40 time, and they had like
heck
one of
yeah.
those vertical jumps. You could measure your vert, and there was also like a net that you could throw footballs into for free pizza, but there was only one of each of these, and so the line was like 700 people long. Not even kidding.
You've got
Sure.
over 500,000
Sure.
people showing up, and you have like one event to do for them.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
Well done.
They had, I counted 2 like official booths set up where you could buy like a $70 t-shirt or a $90 foam necklace.
Yeah.
That was it as far as merch. You could buy $16 beers. That's about it. That's about it.
No.
That's awful.
So
16.
on day 2, we decided that we didn't care about getting good spots to stand. Not enough to stand for 10 hours anymore. So we just went and explored Detroit, and we actually had a lot of fun seeing Detroit. But day 1, when we were at the draft the whole day, was pretty brutal. And we actually, after the second round on day 2, we looked at each other, and the Lions didn't have a third round pick anymore, and I could tell my father-in-law wanted to go home, and I was like, you know what? I do want to see these next 2 picks, but I don't want to see them bad enough to keep standing here. So we actually left
Right.
after the second round, and we went home and caught the other picks in the car. But I'm glad I went so I could say I went, and I have a year to talk myself into wanting to go to the one in Green Bay. We'll see if that happens.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Happy draft day. Sorry your draft is so lame. Says too old for this.
That's great.
Jeez.
Okay. So these new Packers that we got, there's a lot of them. Hard not to be excited about a guy named Messiah,
Mm-hmm.
right? We signed a tight end, undrafted free agent named Messiah Swinson. So I just posted, have you heard the good news? Packers have a Messiah. So that's great. As far as the actual draft picks go, I'm interested to hear what you guys think about the picks. There's a couple guys that I am really trying to talk myself into, and so I want to hear what you guys think about them, hear why you're excited about them if you are. For me, those guys that I kind of am still working on getting excited about would be Tyron Hopper and probably Travis Glover, I guess.
darn it. I thought
It's about
Man.
mine too, yeah.
I wanted I wanted JJ to say Marshawn Lloyd, and I was going to give this
Yeah.
giant elevator pitch, and I'm like, I got this, man. I don't know. The Hopper one is tougher. I get that. I think from both of you, I understand that for sure, because it just feels like you would have thought like third round you would get someone with a little more consistency, at least across the board. I think he plays really fast, and I think that's going to be the draw, right? I think he can play fast and aggressive. Was it a reach? Yeah, probably a little bit. But I think if their goal right now at linebacker, and if they have a vision for the defensive line that we maybe don't quite see yet, that's going to allow these linebackers to play more aggressive and allow them to make a lot of plays, then I get it. If the belief in the defensive line is like, yeah, we're going to be able to free up a lot of these guys somehow, and just let Hopper just run guys down through the alley, and same with Cooper, right? Same with Walker. Then I'm on board. I think if you're going to see a little more of what we saw last year mixed in, then I'm a little more confused of why Hopper's
Your job is to
pick.
stand there and wait for guys to come to you and then hit them real hard. Like, that's not going to work.
Yeah, but I think like with Hopper, I think there's a few reps where I'm looking, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's got to scrape around a slanting defensive lineman, and he's staying tight to it. He's brings a ton of speed, and he's getting to that gap quickly. And like as a blitzer and in coverage and with enough range, yeah, he needs to get better as a tackler, right? That is very clear. But I do think if you want to play faster, he was one of the linebackers I think you had to go get. If that's the goal.
Okay.
Glover, do you want the Glover elevator pitch?
Talk me into him. I'm trying to figure out why he's here.
Let's see. So, the pitch on Glover is a lot more difficult, especially because of who is still there.
Forget about who's still there. Just
You're right.
why is he on the roster versus working at McDonald's?
Is he the next Caleb Jones? Is that what we're going for?
Well, guy who sits there doesn't get reps. Yeah, maybe.
All right.
I think it's
I just
probably
meant
more.
giant
It's another.
tackle.
It's another upside swing, right? You're kind of swinging like just way later on him than you are with like Suamatea and Amagaji, right? It's kind of a similar, like oh wow, look at the size, the power. I think like he is a good enough athlete. I think it's just very much like after 5 years,
Nathan
footwork
said
needs
he's
to be
related
better.
to Donald Glover. That's why he's here.
Well, there you go. No,
Maybe he was trying to be serious. Maybe he actually is related.
Maybe.
I don't think so. But.
maybe
That would be worth it to me.
Too old for this. Says Goody just took Hopper in the third to test if Tucker really broke the curse.
That's you know what? I didn't think about that.
I have thoughts on that though.
That's the best elevator pitch.
The
Just like how is this curse broken? Let's take a couple fourth rounders and see how this goes. They're like not in our top 50 in the third round this time. Ooh,
I have
I
some red flags about the third round for this year because, hey, we heard the thing about we had second round grades on these guys and they fell to the third round. It's amazing. So we heard that one again.
yeah.
Our third round picks are like tendency breakers when like basically the rest of the draft class isn't. Like this is kind of Amari Rodgers territory for me.
Could be.
And
I believe in Tucker Kraft. All right, there it is.
Absolutely.
yeah,
I believe in the no. I believe in the power of Tucker Kraft. I'm saying he will pull them through. I get what you're saying. Like Goot's trying to do it. He's trying to. You're right. Everything makes this an abject failure, but Tucker Kraft will pull us through. That's all I'm saying.
Tucker Kraft 2024. Start. Get it going. Get it going. Man's gonna be doing everything.
Kraft Musgrave for president.
Yes. Yeah.
SDN said, I think Goot had to drop some kids off at the pool during the Hopper and Williams picks.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait a minute. This reminds me of something. Hold on. Because we need Jake to talk about Evan Williams, but here's what we got to hit first.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen here. Actually, I don't need to share. I'll just read it. So this was on April 2nd, 3 weeks ago. We did the draft where we took the guys we thought were most likely to end up as Packers.
Yep.
And we specified that this could be through the draft, could be through undrafted free agency, could be a summer signing of a rookie, whatever. I went back and looked at how we did.
Oh, I think we had it pulled up actually during day 3.
Oh, did you? Oh,
we did. Yep.
Right,
we didn't see the final result because I think there were a couple picks left.
I know.
Did
the final
JJ get one?
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got the long snapper signed in free agency.
Oh.
so each one of us got one.
Yeah.
All right.
We're all tied with one. So
Yep.
hopefully Goot comes through, I don't know, in the next like 2 or 3 months with a free agency signing of some UDFA who gets let go by another team, and it's somebody on this list so we can break the tiebreaker. You just need one more guy, and we have a winner.
I think it's going to be you.
Well, I don't think Tanner
you're going to
Bortolini
win.
Is getting cut.
No, I think
don't
it's like
Kevin Wallace is getting cut.
I think it's poaching CJ Hansen from the Chiefs practice squad. I think that gets you the win.
Is that
if
where
I were
he
to
is
make
right
a
now?
prediction? Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the Chiefs drafted him. They may put him on the practice squad still because interior offensive line, they're pretty good there.
See, I foolishly
That wouldn't
took
shock
a bunch
me.
of guys who would get drafted relatively early-ish, which means I was, lowering my odds of winning through the summer free agency. So so Ryan had Katana Oladapo, Jake had Evan Williams, and I had Peter Bowden. I was punching the air in exuberance when we signed him because I didn't want to draft a long snapper. I just wanted to sign one undrafted free agency. And I think that this guy is an immediate upgrade over Matt Orzech because nearly anybody would be.
Yeah.
So, long snapper merry-go-round. We hop on one more time, see how many more long snappers we can get through this year. And
I was gonna say, I think San Francisco screwed me out of a win here. I'm almost positive. San Francisco screwed me out of a win. They move up to take Pooney at 86.
There you go.
I'm almost positive that was going to be one of their 2 picks. It's just the Niners knew it, jumped ahead. I think I would have wrapped it up right there with him and Williams back to back.
With Bortolini, I can't believe that he went before the Packers were on the clock. I think that was going to happen.
Yeah. I'm surprised Delmar Glaze went that early from Maryland. Because I thought, there's a tackle guard a lot later. And then he goes to the Raiders in the 3rd. I'm like, well, nice.
Glaze was on my short list of, I could see the Packers swinging early on day 3 for this guy.
Well, and Isaiah Adams was the same thing from Illinois. It was kind of like, oh, yeah, he's played better at guard. He's played tackle, though, day 3. And then he went in the 3rd round. And it's like, man, there's just that desperation for O-line is out of this world right now, as it should be. I mean, we've seen how bad offensive line play has been for a lot of teams. So,
Jake, give me the elevator pitch on Evan Williams because that's one where I can see it making sense on paper, and I still need to get excited about it because I'm not there yet.
I think it's the same thing. I think it's versatility, play speed, playmaking, hit power, like that kind of 4 things there that he'll bring in spurts to the defense matters. I think that was kind of when we were trying to parse through the safeties, and it was like, okay, do you want just the true box safety, right? Do you want the foil to Xavier McKinney in many ways? Or do you want someone who can work with McKinney in rotating through both spots? And I think we were kind of bringing up Bullard for that a little bit. And I feel like Evan Williams was in that camp as well. Oladapo maybe a little. But I think that Williams was just kind of under the radar as somebody who's like, yeah, it's just day 3 guy, not as interesting. We haven't mentioned him as much. Was at the Senior Bowl. But just could do a few different things for your defense. And I think they clearly saw that because you moved it up in round 4 for him. So.
Did we trade up for him? I didn't remember that.
Yeah, moved up from 126 to 111, I think it was. Which everybody who thought it was Tampa, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He's still here. Like,
Well, and didn't somebody actually call it on the show? They were like, "Oh, it's Tampa," and we spent 5 minutes going, "Oh," or I was all pissed off about it because we got Tampa, and I kept looking, and I saw somebody say somebody else, but it was one of those kind of fraud accounts or whatever. So I was like, "No, I'll leave it be." I saw 2-3 more people say it. I'm like, "Are you sure it's Tampa?" Because I keep seeing different names here.
well, it was a lot of the leak accounts that were tipping the picks first 2 days. Like, guys I was checking in on a ton during the streams. It was kind of like, oh yeah, this is the pick, and they were right, and I see those same accounts going, oh, it's Packers have moved up for TJ Tampa. Like, I saw that across the board. I'm
weird.
like, oh wow, okay, it's Tampa, and then you see the Packers account come in. It's like, we've selected Evan Williams, and it's like, wait, hold on, back up a second. You trade up again, but like it was, the leak accounts got there.
Oh,
Very much so.
it's weird.
What a very strange thing.
Starting with Evan Williams, every pick that we made after that, it was the Packers' official account was the first one to break it. Which I thought was
They were
interesting.
the online trackers were well behind.
Well, I think that there's something to this little theory that you have about the TJ Tampa, like, the false flag thing. I think that whoever was leaking stopped.
Could be.
Sure,
After the Tampa thing.
it could be.
It could.
That would make sense if you think about it. I mean, if the Packers are actively putting out, we're going to take him kind of thing. I don't know. I wonder. And then they come up and, if you're hearing that the Packers are trying to take somebody, you might assume that that's what they're doing. I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Garrett asks, what is Goot's win-loss total for his draft history for offensive line? Somebody translate this question for me. I don't understand it. The win-loss total?
Good picks versus bad picks?
Yeah, I think it's just hit v miss.
Yeah.
So does the one guy who medically retired like 5 days into his NFL career
I wouldn't
count?
say so.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So if you leave him out of that, like Runyon was a hit. I mean, he's a 6th round.
I think so. Yeah.
You have to count.
Yeah, you're
that
talking
one.
about taking Cole Madison out, right? That's what we're talking about.
No, not Cole Madison. It was
the other guy.
Runyon. He took Runyon and
Hansen and Stepaniak?
Yeah, that's
Stepaniak.
Stepaniak was the guy.
He
Yeah.
retired.
Okay.
So Cole Madison was a miss.
Yep.
Hansen, it was a big miss. Stepaniak
Yep.
doesn't count. Runyon was a hit. Royce Newman was a miss. Sean Ryan sure seems to be a miss. Elton was a hit. Josh Myers, meh. For a 2nd rounder, I think he's kind of a miss.
I'll give him another year. Yeah. I mean, this past year was devastating. Prior to this past year, I would have said it was, maybe not as great as you'd hope for a 2nd round pick, but hit enough.
Cole Van Lanen is interesting because he didn't hit for the Packers, but then we traded him, I think, for a better pick than what we drafted him with, if I recall correctly.
To Jacksonville, right?
Right. I think
I
got
think it
more
was
back
actually.
from him.
I think you're right. Actually, I think we did.
And he's still in Jacksonville, so I guess I'm going to count that as I don't know. It's at least not a negative. It's not lost.
It's more of a wait. That might be the wait and see. We're not sure. Can't
And then who was that
officially count it.
Wisconsin kid he took the same year as Royce and Van Lanen? What was that guy's name?
What year is that? 21. Oh,
That's at my tongue. Tyler, did he
Edwards?
draft Alex? I don't think he did.
Was it Edwards? David Edwards? Is that right?
No, that's not it.
What freaking year?
2021 Packers draft class. I could just Google this. Okay. It was.
It was Cole Van Lanen.
I thought wait, were you asking if Van Lanen was picked that year or who the other offensive
Cole Van
lineman
Lanen was a 2021 Wisconsin offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, that's what I was thinking of.
Oh,
So,
I thought you were thinking of like who's the other Wisconsin offensive lineman that was picked in 2021
oh, no.
as well
No,
as Van Lanen.
I remember that there were 3 offensive linemen that year, and I forgot about Josh Myers, so I thought there was somebody else that I was
Gotcha.
forgetting.
Gotcha.
So then we didn't take any in 2023. Okay, Zach Tom, huge hit. Rasheed Walker for a 7th rounder. Come on, you freaking kidding me?
Yep.
I mean, if you traded Rasheed Walker today, what would you get back for him? Seriously.
I don't know. Who's giving up some nice 2025 picks?
Yeah, right.
Who's giving them up?
Give me the
We
picks.
spent
You get a 2026 third, though, if people are giving a fourth for him? That's the real question.
Yeah,
We
right.
spent a mid 7th round pick to get him. I feel like if you tried to trade him today, you're not getting worse than a fourth. You might get a third out of him. Not worse than a fourth.
Yeah,
Starting
I don't
left
think so.
tackle.
Might get some people to bid up for him too. Very possibly.
So Savage Incorporated wants to know, what's your guys' position group to watch? For me, it's linebacker and tight end, he says. So I'm guessing this is just like the most interesting position group on the roster, right?
Sure.
I don't know. I guess as far as like what I'm the most interested in, I'm trying to figure out if we have a right guard on the roster. Not sure we do.
That's
Like we have 4 guys who I'd be comfortable starting at left tackle, or at least trying at left tackle, because I'm including Jordan Morgan on that. So I got 4 guys I'm interested in trying at left tackle.
who's the fourth?
I can't come up with a
Jenkins,
Jenkins, Zach Tom,
Jenkins is the fourth. Okay.
Rashid, and Jordan Morgan.
Okay.
And then at right guard, I can't think of anybody who I would rate higher than like I guess,
Jacob Monk.
Sure, hopefully.
Maybe.
Put in Monk.
This is one of those. This could be definitely one of those like, wow, that came out of nowhere. And Goody's like, no, this guy's good. Maybe study harder next time. Like that feels very much like a possibility that we're all sitting here right now going, well, who's the right guard? I don't know. Am I the right guard? Like, doing that kind of thing. And Goody's like, no, you donut. This guy's really good. And he just ends up being the starter. Like that could easily happen.
Maybe everybody's going to get their wish and Josh Myers will move to guard and Jacob Monk will play center.
It's possible.
Since everybody's obsessed with the idea of just moving everybody everywhere just for random reasons. Zach Tom should play at every position and Elton Jenkins and what was another one? They were, can Rashid play guard? Like, bro, no.
That is.
Come on.
Rashid is either starting at left tackle or
Right.
he's the swing tackle / emergency tackle if somebody gets hurt. There's no like.
People
hey,
like
man,
to
can
get
this guy
creative
play
with
center?
this stuff. Yeah.
Rashid and Jordan Morgan, I was looking at them today. They have basically never played a snap anywhere other than left tackle in their entire life. Rashid played 2 snaps at left guard in 2021, but I didn't see them, and so it could be something where there's like 6 or 7 offensive linemen, and so he was technically the left guard.
Sure.
Was it in the same game? I'm gonna go find that.
Nope.
Or
it was one
just
snap. It was across
just
2
PFF
games.
made a mistake. Sometimes they just mess up.
Could be.
They charted
be.
it wrong.
Were they in wins when he's like it's a kneel down and he's technically playing
Could be.
guard?
It could
That's
be.
maybe
be.
the.
He had one game in 2019 where he played 29 snaps at right tackle, but that's it. Outside of that, like the Packers have never put him even for a snap at right tackle or anything. Jordan Morgan has never played a snap anywhere other than left tackle in his entire career, according to PFF. Like the only thing you can find is like, he was an inline tight end in this, bullcrap play. Shut up. He's a freaking left tackle, and we know it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and all our safeties are corners, and our corners are safeties, and it's like, guys, maybe we just drafted him to do the job that we drafted him to do.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people who are really adamant about Javon Bullard being a slot, and I'm not a 1,000,000% sold on that. Nickel, sure, like a strong safety nickel, sure. I'm not 1,000,000% sold on he can cover a slot corner.
I feel like that's why he moved to safety for Georgia.
I also saw somebody
Much more
talk
full
about
time, but
moving Kalen King to safety.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Nobody wants anybody to just stay. Like, Kalen King needs to be a safety, and our safeties need to be corners. It's like, guys, please stop. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think the Bullard thing, and we talked about it a lot on the stream, that it's possible and they may do that, and obviously be cool just because. But I think the biggest reason is, well, we drafted so many safeties, somebody has to go there. Or you're just anticipating not everybody's going to be a starter.
Sure.
You know, I mean, we can't assume that everybody we drafted is going to be a full-time starter all the time. Maybe this is depth, or maybe you use some guys in sub packages or whatever. But I mean, you don't just draft we need a safety, so draft one and then be done. Well, no, that's
Well,
I
we've
think
been
it's-
clamoring for like how many safeties do we need? This room is
A lot.
barren.
We have
This
none.
room is
We have-
barren, and
yeah,
even
we
after
got-
the McKinney signing, it was kind of like,
Right.
is Rudy Ford coming back? We don't know yet. Like
Right.
Savage is gone. Like there was a lot. Anthony Johnson Jr. and Xavier McKinney were the only guys there, and it's like you know.
Yeah, I was going to say
Well, the
no,
room-
no disrespect to Anthony Johnson. I know a lot of people liked him. That guy is not even. I mean, I don't think he belonged
Can't
on the
right
field
now.
with Jonathan Owens, and Jonathan
No.
Owens was putrid. So
It was a
yeah.
projection. He played a lot of slot in Iowa State's defense, which is a very strange defense to be playing in.
Yeah.
Like, it was always going to be like projection. You know, it was the same. It's the same thing. Oh, can he play? Can he play safety? You know, he played a little bit of safety, but he's played like I don't know, 500 some snaps at slot, like, and then 600 the year before. It was like that's where he played. I think with Bullard, it was kind of like, well, he has played slot, so like maybe that's an option if one of
And
the other
that's-
guys hits, and it's
That's
like okay,
fantastic. If they all hit and you got to slide Bullard in, like freaking great.
Yeah.
I love it.
but he can also play safety, and he's proven it at a high level. And he
Well,
can
and it-
easily step in and start, and like that's
the thing. You got two safeties. It could in base, it's Xavier and Bullard, right? And then you go into more of a nickel look, and maybe Bullard slides into. Isn't that what they do in Detroit with what's his name, or no? Or is he just
With Branch.
permanently
Branch
the corner?
is just
Branch.
I think Branch is just
So
played.
he was
nickel
like
corner.
permanently.
Is he
a
just
slot
nickel?
corner.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know like
Yeah.
Gardner Johnson used to do that, and
Sure,
it might
right.
do that again in Philly this year when he's going back there. Like that might entirely be possible. So,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they aggressive. You want Bullard blitzing from the nickel? Yeah, sure, but you got enough talent at safety where you feel comfortable with it. Yeah, I mean,
Well, and that makes me wonder about Williams too. I mean, not now I'm doing the thing that I make fun of everybody else about, but you look at Williams and his blitzing ability, and you just wonder how much they might want to put him in that slot spot if he can do it, just to get him up on the line of scrimmage. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Until we know these players a little bit better, I'm gonna need some full names. I was like, who the heck is Williams?
Sorry, Evan Williams. Yeah, I have to look at the thing because I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Like that guy out of Oregon, I don't remember what his name is. Even our
So-
first round, I don't know why I'm struggling so much with Jordan Morgan. I've never really struggled with a first round pick so much. I have to look at it every time.
I mean,
Speaking of struggling, I am struggling to keep up with her comments. We have so many comments here.
That's true.
So, Alicia, I have no freaking clue what this was. In
I think it was when you were going on your tirade about how many exact snaps the tackle had played in his life.
Oh, probably.
Jordan Morgan, 2392 at Arizona.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up, Jake.
I've looked at it too much.
I saw one here. It was from Rev Trev, friend of the show. Question: why did Goot take Hopper instead of Peyton Wilson? So I can answer the instead of part. I can't ask the why Hopper part. The instead of Peyton Wilson is because he's a freaking psycho. There's something wrong with that dude. And even if you have no concerns about the mental stuff, the physical stuff, that dude has taken a beating over the last few years.
Body's broke down. He's old. And
There is no tread
for
left
me,
on his
and nobody agrees, I didn't appreciate his play, to be honest. There were many linebackers I just liked better than him. I thought he was overrated to begin with, and then you add in everything else. I just had no interest.
Garrett Simmons
'cause,
is
I mean,
still
he-
available in free agency because he stinks. That's why.
I mean, because so the big thing with Wilson is a lot of the time he's playing that like weird jack linebacker role where it's like, oh, he's like further off the ball where he's like buzz to the flat, blitz, take on the run. So like how much of that is, how much of that is projectable to what
Yeah,
you're doing?
translatable to the NFL, yeah.
Yeah, so
Remember
that's
which
part of
school
it.
He went to
Who? Which guy?
Wilson.
NC State.
Okay.
But I think there were flashes of him like getting off blocks, which was good, and like he's obviously plays physical. But it was always going to be that question. I think that's why a lot of people were kind of like Green Bay probably won't go near him. Like injuries, age, like it's probably going to add up. Like we've they like having guys who are second, third contract before they're 30. Like Kenny Clark, great example. Like they would love to have them that long and develop them like that. So to have a guy where you're going, well, maybe he's and a lot of people mentioned this when I did the video on him on my channel. It's like, well, are you going to give him a second contract? It's a real possibility you don't. Like Pittsburgh might not give him a second contract. He might not make it through the first contract. So that's this whole manage risk part of the draft. Like there's opportunities to take home run swings, but there's also opportunities to be like, yeah, so this guy is old and injured. You're probably not doing that. Like just managing risk at certain spots. So
Speaking of that point, so Marshawn Lloyd is old. He's like almost 24 years old. And that was like the biggest knock on him for me as a draft prospect. And it's why I kind of wrote him off every time I look at him and start to get kind of excited about like, man, I really like watching this guy. Like, man, his numbers are really impressive, like across the board. I look at his age and I just wrote him off every single time. And was looking recently at some chart that somebody put together that was showing where in the draft all the good running backs are taken. Because like I have this idea in my head that like, oh, you know what, like Aaron Jones was a sixth round pick. Like just take swings on these late guys and it'll pan out. And the chart was showing like, no, like really the second round is the sweet spot for running backs. And then you can kind of get them in the third round. And then it really just drops off after that. Okay. So Marshawn Lloyd plays a position that you don't give a third contract to anyways, or even a lot of times a second contract to. So why do you care about his age? And USC's offense, like I know he was at South Carolina prior to that, but USC's offense didn't run the ball. This guy has no tread on his tires.
Right. No. And he can, they specifically get these guys because they can handle a heavier load. So he's built to last. And he has no tread on his tires. So, yeah, 24 isn't great. But I think that even that is less to do with tread on the tires and more to do with like how good you actually are. That's where you kind of, for me, I would want to look at breakout age. I don't know that answer. But like if he's been good for 2-3 years, I don't care. That has no bearing. So, yeah, then it just becomes his age. But, I mean, if this guy can play till he's 30, whereas some guys fall off to when they're 26, you're still ahead of the curve with a guy like this. Plus, he's not even your number one running back, at least not this year. We'll see next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know why PFF has only 3 years of grades for him.
Did they?
I'd have to look figure out why that is. Maybe it's JUCO stuff before he went to South Carolina for a couple seasons. But obviously, like 115 carries, 110 carries the last 2 years with USC and the other USC, right? Like he hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't. I mean, it's nice when you play with Caleb Williams and you're like a timeshare running back at USC where it's like you're not carrying the ball, 30 times a game because one, you're chasing because your defense is bad, and two, you have a quarterback who slings it all around the place. So like you're not going to get.
Now, Jake, what did we talk? What did we tell you about understating things? All right, bad does not begin to cover that defense.
I didn't want to say bad word. Okay. All right.
Wall thinks Monk is a future center. Everything I've ever seen on Monk is that he's a center who maybe could play a little bit of guard in a pinch, but
which
I don't know. Maybe you guys have different.
For those who love the fan fiction of moving guys around, they're loving this. They're loving Monk and Myers are just switching spots.
Yeah,
they're like they're all ready to. They're bored of Monk at center. They want to move him to guard already.
Yeah, he's back and forth already. Yeah, here we go.
How do you guys feel about the Falcons' claim that they are attempting the Green Bay model? Feel like they went in a different direction than us, LOL. The problem I have with what the Falcons did is not the decision to go quarterback. It's which quarterback they went with because
it was right there.
Yeah.
They wanted the model. It was right there, and they didn't do it. Like, it was right there. Whether you like McCarthy that much or not, he was right there, man.
McCarthy is the guy for you to sit like 3 years.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. That's a perfect pairing because everybody said that from day one, and they come in saying we want a guy to sit for 3 years. I mean, he was
sitting there.
It's right there.
Penix is going to be 30 by the time he gets a start.
Oh, man.
And I forget who we were just talking about. Oh, Peyton Wilson was the guy that we said that his body is just a husk at this point from his injuries. Like, Peyton Wilson is a beacon of health compared to Michael Penix. So that's my problem is the physical body that you drafted. It's not the position. It's not the brain. It's the physical body. So I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
if you sit Penix for 3 years and then he turns into a 28-year-old first-time starter who does a good job, fine. I guess you got 10 more years of a quarterback and whatever.
Yeah.
I was a little flattered that they were talking about how like the Green Bay had a model.
That was my biggest takeaway is that they're just bragging up the Packers. Like he even said we've been talking a lot about it. Like they're sitting in back rooms talking about the Green Bay model and how to be more like the Packers. Like, heck yeah. And you did it wrong. You suck it.
It's like, hey, that Love Cat's pretty good. We should try this, huh?
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Here
know.
it says they should have drafted Pratt. Pratt was higher on my board
Man.
than Michael
I
Penix.
can't believe he got to 245. That was wild.
Who was
stuff,
it? It
man.
was oh man.
I can't believe that.
It was did you see the tweet? I think it was from Farrar, Doug Farrar.
Oh yeah, I think you're
What did he
right.
say?
Who was the quarterback he was talking about? Was it I just
What
want to
was
get the quarterback right. So the context of it was it was one of the first round picks. He said, "Tell me one thing this guy does better than Pratt, who was taken at
Was it
whatever."
Knicks?
It might I don't know. It might have been JJ.
Good. Well,
It might have been because I almost feel like Vikings fans were going after him, but I could be wrong.
Okay, it was JJ. He says JJ
Yeah.
McCarthy went 10th overall, and the Vikings traded up
see
to get him.
this.
Michael Pratt went 245th to the Packers. Now tell me one thing McCarthy
Man.
does. that Pratt
brother.
doesn't.
Well, you know,
how
what's
do you
funny?
have
Look
to
at the
feel like that guy has no allegiance anywhere, and he just says
exactly.
that he's just covering the draft in the NFL. And
Exactly.
he's like, "Vikings, are you dumb?
right.
You took
Well, and
this guy 10."
It is funny too because a lot of like rival fans are trying to come at us. There's a lot of flattery going on about the Packers. Like first of all, our first round pick that Bears, Lions, Vikings fans are making fun of, people are gushing, and then our 7th round pick.
Yeah.
You guys, oh, I'm sorry. Do you guys have Sauce Gardner bragging about your 7th round pick? Because I do. So
By the way,
Yeah,
hey,
that's the
Bears
other
fans,
thing.
it's super cool that there's a former Bachelor contestant who loves your draft picks.
yeah,
I'll
right.
take Bill Belichick and Sauce Gardner.
Exactly. Yeah, Bill Belichick's got. There was
I need his tweet now.
I saw people saying Bill Belichick doesn't understand offense. He's a defensive guy. Bro,
Oh, good Lord. He's a former GM who's been in the football business as a head coach for longer than half these people have been alive, for crying out loud. That's such an idiotic thing to say.
Sauce Gardner out here. Y'all sleeping on Kalen King?
Yep.
Mark Zambito is
I'm probably
concerned.
I'm part of y'all. I think most likely. But, like I don't care. Kalen King, prove us all wrong, man. Prove that last fall was an aberration, and
getting
just
back
go out
to-
and dominate again.
Yeah,
Like,
getting back to the Pratt thing, though, the funniest part, look at the comments. Nobody has a comment. Nobody can explain what it is. The only comment I saw was, get drafted in the first round. Like, that's the only thing. Otherwise, it's you're an idiot. You don't know ball. Like, you must have gotten hacked. Like,
I'm looking
just
at, all
say the
top
thing.
Comments are so stupid. The top one is statements like that are why nobody takes you seriously. No contradiction. No
Right.
answering the question.
And that's
Just, you're an
the
idiot.
thing. This
Freaking
is
Rip
supposed. This,
Eisen did one too.
Rich
This
Eisen
should
did
be
one where he
easy.
said that we didn't say anything. Rich Eisen, back your Michigan guy up. You didn't even say anything.
what did he say?
He just did a gif of
Eisen
like
is
a
supposed
guy
to-
not saying anything,
Oh.
trying to say something.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's so low. If this should be easy, right? If you'd have said that about a 7th round tackle compared to our tackle, right? It's not hard to come up with the thing that our guy is better at. Why
Right.
can nobody come up with one thing? Pretty interesting that nobody has been able to answer the question.
Win national championships. Okay.
Oh yeah, I did see that
Because
one. Yeah.
one's playing in a group of 5 school, brother. They can't even get there.
right.
They're like not allowed. They had to like let Cincinnati in because there would have been like, fans would have lost their minds. Like they had to let them in once.
Here's
They don't
something
let
Pratt
them in
can
ever.
do.
So
Something Pratt can do that McCarthy can't. Read a freaking defense. How about
Right.
that?
there's part of it. His 2022 was pretty darn good. Like, and
yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
And Rev Trev says, you guys keep saying you want a Green Bay to draft Pratt. What about Pratt gets you guys excited? So I don't do a lot with quarterbacks because we don't usually need them. Huh?
Anticipation with a capital A. That guy
Oh,
throws the
yeah.
ball before the guy's open. And
That's what it was. I mean, that was the big thing I looked at with quarterbacks this year because we talked about it with Rodgers. We talked about it with Love. That was the big knock on Fields and whatnot. He was one of the, he did it. Bo Nix did it. I forget, maybe one or two other guys, but just in terms of being able to read the defense, put your eyes in the right place, move the defenders and then throw with anticipation accurately. He did it in spades. He and Bo Nix were two of the best that I saw doing that. Caleb is fun. He does all the crazy stuff, but he also does a lot of stupid stuff. And I don't see that. And that's the thing. When you get to the NFL, everything needs to be tight. You know what I mean? Like your reads, everything's got. That's why Fields was so good in college and terrible in the pros, because it's, you get that extra second or two in college that you're not going to get in the pros, and he couldn't handle it. Yeah. So I like what I saw from Pratt and Bo Nix and whatnot, because they work in rhythm real fast and just get the ball where it needs to go, and I think that's huge when you get to the NFL.
Couple things with Pratt, by the way. Also, number one, he's one of those guys, and I say one of those because at this point there's like 25 of them, that the Packers have drafted who had significantly better 2022 seasons than 2023. His grade in 2022 was an 89.3. It was a 79.7 in 2023. The other thing with Pratt, I think he needs to sit a little bit, and he's going to go do it. He's going to go sit in the room with LaFleur and Tom Clements and Jordan Love. Like, you guys know the thing that I hate above all else when it comes to trying to talk to Packer fans is like the QB3 worship, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
There's going to be a lot of it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of it now.
QB3 worship? That's Sean Clifford to me, by the way.
Well, and that's the thing. It's
My
like
man might be QB2.
Yeah.
Gutekunst and LaFleur are just super excited about this because they went and got two fun project quarterbacks that they get to mold and see which one can really pan out. And it is fun because we drafted two quarterbacks, and I think they're actually going to be quite good. I'm pretty excited to see what they look like in the preseason. And what I'm not looking forward to is the talk about, see, he looked better than Love did. He hit that freaking bucket and Love missed it. He's like, that's going to drive me nuts. But otherwise, it's going to be fun.
Those people should be like, okay, if they're gonna commit to that bit, they need to be like, all right, what team is trading for him?
Yeah,
like keep going with that. Like hype our guy up. Yeah. You know what? That's fine. You want to hype Pratt up? I'll ignore your Pratt over Love nonsense all summer, but just hype him up for other teams to be like, man, we gotta go get that guy. Like he's good.
Yeah,
just that's what we need.
Keep your eye on the prize here. All right,
that's what I want.
Yeah.
So I'm good with it. I'm good with that. I will ignore the nonsense of like, oh, look, Pratt's better than Love. He did this. But like, keep hyping Michael Pratt up. Family night, my guy's just hitting those.
Yeah,
the nets from like 40, and I'm like, let's just go, man.
I'm enjoying. I just did a quick search for my Twitter handle and the word Pratt to see what my recent tweets about him were, because I have been high on him for a while. I tweeted about him 4 times during the draft. The first one was so on day 2, this report comes out about how Matthew Stafford is maybe going to hold out because he wants more money. And so I tweeted that the Rams should consider taking Michael Pratt. And I said, but I'm hoping the Packers take him.
There you go.
So then on day 3, I tweeted, I would take Michael Pratt in the 5th round. And then I tweeted, it's Michael Pratt time. Please take him. Then late on day 3, somebody asked me, who do you think we go for with these last few picks? And I said, probably guys I've never heard of. Hopefully Michael Pratt. I don't know. I'm barely paying attention to the 7th round.
Nice.
So I got my wish.
And that's the cool thing too. After a certain point, even if you're like anti-taking it, like if we'd have taken him in the 4th round, it's like, okay, that stings a little bit because, whatever. By the time you get to the 7th, how could anybody be anti-taking him at that point? It's a huge value, a critical position. I cannot understand why anybody would be upset. Even if you want to say, well, we should have gotten, an edge or something because we needed it. You think that guy's going to start? Come on now. This is the right pick.
Oh, for sure. It's not even a question. I was looking back to like October and stuff, and I remember Jim Nagy released like early Senior Bowl guys back like May 1st of last year, and it was kind of like there was a bunch of guys on there. Jaden was obviously on there, and I was like, oh yeah, Michael Pratt. Obviously people be watching Milton to see if he leaps. Like Jalen Daniels at Kansas, like there was a lot, but Pratt was included in that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I remember talking about him, and I did the way too early mock. I was like, Pratt should be on this QB list. I don't know why he's not on this PFF
Pratt
QB
was
list.
On day 2, I was stunned that he.
I thought so too.
In like the 2nd or 3rd round,
especially because of all the QBs, like 6 in round 1. I'm like, well, then Rattler and Pratt got to be going on day 2 because there's no way people are just going to let him sit around.
And even because I was thinking that too, because everybody's like, well, Rattler's got to go soon, and I'm like, Pratt should go before Rattler does. Like that's in my mind that was automatic.
Oh, the Rattler thing is hilarious. So
I figured the Raiders were getting one of them, but
Yeah.
right.
they didn't.
People are talking about like some Netflix thing is the reason that Spencer Rattler fell. Can I just say, Rattler fell because he stinks at football and his character is not there. I mean, that's just
he's
been
really
known
good
for a long time. It's not Netflix, nothing.
Yeah.
really good, really aggressive when there's man coverage on. But like most people should be, because when you know it's man coverage, you know where to go with the ball. Right? When zone mucks up a lot more for you, it's
This is a lesser version of Malik Willis. The guy was never as good as people said he was. I mean, Malik Willis was significantly more drastic, where he was considered a mid to early first, and he ends up plummeting out, which shocked me, because even as a guy who's not super attuned to scouting or whatever, I'm looking at it like, this guy's terrible. Like, I don't know what we're talking about here.
It was so inevitable with that class. It was like, we have to prop somebody up because we have to talk about a quarterback because and I'm like, no, you don't. There should be none going top 50 in this class. The class stinks. I hate that we have to continue to talk about these guys.
Right.
And of course, the guy that goes round 7 is easily the best of the bunch in San Francisco, right? Like, why are we shocked? Why are we shocked?
How bad this is.
Yeah, it was just like bad class.
My guy Matt Corral was at 40. He was the 4th best prospect. Dude has been out of the NFL about as long as he was in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Jake, have you watched any Daquan Finn?
Very little.
Because he's the guy who gets talked about right now the way that Malik Willis was like a year before his draft year. So I don't know. I have been very impressed by him for a couple of years. I just was curious if you had a chance to watch him. The Toledo quarterback. He transferred somewhere out west, southwest.
Be taking a peek, for sure. Once this all dies down, once we're in that kind of lull period. I know Mark was talking about saying in 22, Kalen King was good. But I mean, I think that's a kind of a fair assessment. Personally, I feel like Joey Porter Jr. was taking care of business. They were letting him line up against Marvin and other guys that they played that year. I feel like I think King plays physical. He plays hard. It's just, man, that Ohio State game is just like it's like PTSD, man. It's like, oh my gosh, he just kept getting cooked, and it's like, man. And like, heck, rooting for the kid, because it'd be awesome to be like, for him to just stay resilient and be like, nah, 2022 me is me. But it didn't look great the Senior Bowl. I mean, that's why we're talking about him at pick 255.
I mean, we had conversations about Kalen King within the past year on this stream where I was poo-pooing him, but that was when like draft gurus were talking about him like a second rounder. I'm like, I don't see that. In the 7th round, I don't even care about 7th round picks. Like, we got Michael Pratt, hooray. Will I burn a 7th round pick on a guy who had a great 2022 season and has some physicality and see if he can do something? Sure. And if he doesn't pan out, I don't care at all, because a 7th round pick is worth like $15. So.
Right. Yeah, 7th round was great for the Packers. No notes, even though we just did a bunch of notes, but it was great. Enjoyed the 7th.
I liked. So looking at all their picks, can we each give our favorite and least favorite draft picks? This is like
Green Bay.
For Green Bay, yeah, only Green Bay. This is
okay, because I have thoughts about least favorite. I have thoughts about worst picks.
We already talked about Michael Penix. Come on.
Oh no. There's more than that. But
all right, Jake, I
have a certain bone to pick with a certain team picking 2nd overall, but that's just me, I think.
2nd over. You don't like Jaden Daniels?
No.
Wow.
Which is a shame, because I thought the rest of their draft was awesome, but it might not matter. It genuinely might not matter.
Which quarterback would you have taken there?
May by a mile.
Wow.
countries.
I think May
miles.
needs to sit for a year. I don't think he's ready to start.
I think all of them do, to be honest.
Well, yeah, they all do.
Jaden Daniels is
Maybe Bo Nix.
pressure to scramble, not pressure to deliver.
Yeah,
Like that's what he is.
well, that was the thing because
And that's concerning.
Caleb's negatives remind me of Justin Fields, but there's a lot of Jaden Daniels that just makes me think of Justin Fields a lot, and it's weird because the NFL wants to go so desperately in that direction, and it's not working. And it's like you got to stop, and it just feels like he's one of those guys. And I didn't watch a ton of them, but those guys make me so nervous when the first instinct is to take off, or even to just break the pocket or something. Like at some point, you got to freaking stand there and find someone to throw the ball.
I don't know if I haven't looked at the time to throws, but like it just felt like there were plenty of times where Daniels is sitting back there because he's got 2 future first round tackles, just being dominant out there, and you have 2 first round receivers who were. And I'm not saying that like Daniels didn't have to make throws out there to help the engine go. For sure he did, but it was very, very like 5th year breakout. But also, like, how does he handle pressure? He's a scrambler, not a deliverer. That felt very Fields. That felt very Kenny Pickett at times. And, with the 5th year breakout, and also feels a little RG3, even before Washington drafted him. So, I didn't love that. But,
No.
There's a little rant there.
Anyways, we can get back to the...
Yeah, let's get back to it.
Welcome back to Washington Commanders Derailed. All 3 Washington fans.
Can't believe they got that train back on the track on day 2 and 3, though, but they did it somehow.
I'll just briefly mention the team that was making me mad, although they did take Peyton Wilson, but the Steelers were taking everybody I loved. The
Steelers are about to punch everybody in the face with those 3 offensive linemen. I honestly cannot wait to watch that. Like anyone else, like rooting for Fields to succeed there because that would be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be.
I mean, come on,
just put him behind an elite offensive line and let him tear everybody up. I'm all in on that. Give me Justin Fields tears it up in Pittsburgh.
There's rumors they're getting Sutton, by the way.
Yeah,
that's been thrown out there that Pittsburgh's trading for him, which I think gives Roman Wilson back to the slot in 11, which is where he needs to be.
Okay,
but Frazier, Fautanu, and McCormick. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's
wild.
Oh, man.
They just went all in on offensive line.
I love it. I love the commitment.
They should have done that 2 years ago.
Yes, they should have.
100%. Yeah.
Is it their fault that Kenny was bad?
Finally waking up. I mean, it was even more than that because you can go back 4 years ago and they had an elite offensive line, but they're all 33 years old.
Yeah.
Guys,
come on. Plan?
Come on here. Let's go. And they just let it fall apart.
Very, very Joker of them. Do you think I look like someone who has a plan? It's like they're good right now. What do you want me to do about it?
Now, don't forget they did have a GM change in the middle of that. So
sure,
we're on year 2 of their GM, and he took an offensive lineman last year. So
this GM, and I think the guy that works next to him. The guy that works next to him for sure is from Philly, and they don't mess around over there.
Right?
They don't
go in
mess around with
trenches
this
for
stuff.
sure. Yeah, it's going to be next year. They're going 4 defensive linemen.
Hey, Mike, aka Packer super fan, thank you for the super chat. We will be forever comparing Barton and Morgan. The other pairing we're going to be forever comparing probably is Marshawn Lloyd and Blake Corum. Just saying, because they went within different picks of each other. So,
I mean,
definitely Barton and Morgan.
Morgan and Barton is the same as what our 2nd round pick with who are the 2, the guy for the Chiefs and then Josh Myers,
Freed Humphrey,
Freed Humphrey, and we lost that battle pretty miserably. But then also, people are also going to be looking at the corners that we could have gotten
for sure.
Whether it's a draft, whether we move up a little bit, or just take the guys that were sitting there, and instead this Morgan thing, not that it necessarily needs to, but if you want to fend off all the negative people that are going to be looking for reasons to attack, this better be a hit because there's a lot of stuff that could make this go south.
So Mike,
I think the one thing,
super chat.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Thank you, Packer Superfan.
Just wanted to. You can continue your comment. I just want to make sure it was noted that he's donoing twice.
Yeah,
get that
I think the Williams versus Hicks thing, honestly, we might forget about it entirely because of Bullard and Oladapo. Like, honestly, like,
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that Williams could be, a potential starter. There's also a chance that he's like just an elite special teamer, and like Bisaccia just loves this guy, and that's why he sticks around. Like, that could easily happen. I know everybody's hyped about Hicks going to the Chiefs. Nah. Maybe because he's in Kansas City that it all works out. Like, maybe Spags just knows the guys he wants there, and it wouldn't have worked out anywhere else like that. I know we don't talk about that a lot, but like, scheme, coaching, environment all matters, and there's a bunch of different ones, and some players respond better than others in certain ones. I don't know. Hicks in Green Bay it was not something I desired personally.
By the way, you brought up Oladapo. Can't believe it's taken us this long to talk about him. I mean, I'm freaking psyched out of my mind that we got Oladapo. I'm so happy.
Can I hit one other thing that's related to Mike's Super Chats before we get to Oladapo? Because I know we're gonna have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. I just love Oladapo.
Was anyone truly upset that they passed on Barton and DeJean?
I wasn't. I was a little bummed they passed up on Kool-Aid. I didn't really want Cooper to be Gene.
Like I said, there was a huge pile of guys that I thought would have been great fits. So if it was like just Cooper was my guy, I would have been pretty pissed. But
yeah,
it was more so that hey, thanks, Mark. That Jordan Morgan really wasn't on my radar as in that pile, and it wasn't. I didn't dislike him. I like it. Just he wasn't on my. So it was another one of those things where I got caught off guard, and I was more mad at myself for not doing enough due diligence to make sure that didn't happen.
Yeah. That was me the entire draft. So like when I thought that Edgerrin Cooper might be in play for the 25th overall pick.
Me too.
I
was in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
All morning, all Thursday morning, I'm like, oh, they might just do that. They might just go off book again.
Yeah.
The fact that we traded down from 41 and picked up an extra pick and then took Cooper, I think that kind of eased for me the fact that I just was never a big Edgerrin Cooper guy. So, you know what? I'm glad he's here and we traded down to get him. Great. I'm fine with it. I'll take it. But literally until Oladapo. Oladapo was the first pick of the entire Packers draft for me that I wasn't like, wait, what? Oh.
Yeah.
All right, I guess. In Goody, I trust. But then Oladapo came across the screen, I'm like, yeah. And I was psyched.
Yeah, I think that is fair, with the exception of Hopper. Sure. With the first 4 picks, I like all 4. Yeah. But it was also kind of like, not Edgerrin. But just overall, not including just position, where it was like, good, but there's somebody better. Morgan, that's fine, but I would have preferred this. Cooper's fine. Bullard, too. Like, I like Bullard, but he's kind of like second tier for me in terms of the guys that I like. Marshawn Lloyd, second or third tier for running backs, but I didn't dislike any of them, so it was okay.
I think I was like that with Jordan Morgan for sure. I was kind of like, oh, that's okay. It's fine. It's very them, off-book guy that we maybe don't like as much as they do. That's probably better than we think he is.
Yeah.
I was hyped for Edgerrin and Javon Bullard. I just didn't think they were going to take Bullard.
Yeah.
I did not think they were going to go that direction.
Bullard was high on my list of
I
guys,
liked him.
Candidates for the slot. But he wasn't high on my list of like safeties or corners.
Right, and that's why I was like, oh, he's 198. Like, he's more near Savage's weight. Are they going to go back that direction? It felt like they were going to be, just go bigger at the position, and I was kind of like, oh, yes, excellent. They took him. Love that. Lloyd was kind of like, okay, that's exciting, but definitely Hopper was kind of like, oh, that's okay. Goody, that was interesting.
My excitement level when we took Pratt and Oladapo, those were 10s.
Yeah,
My excitement level when we took Hopper and Glover and Evan Williams and Jacob Monk was like a 1.5, and then everybody else was like a 3. I was like, oh, all right. Yeah. I'm sure that I will love this player, and I trust Goody, but this guy just was not on my radar, and so I wish I had done a better job of preparing for the draft. Yeah, like, not that I've never heard of, Bullard or Morgan or Cooper, but none of them, well, not Cooper, but like Morgan and Bullard and Lloyd, they just were not on my radar for that pick. Like, that was like a full Packers pick ahead every single time.
Yeah. I think
Morgan at 41 on my radar. Morgan at 25 should have been on my radar.
Right. 100%. And
Yep.
I think just JJ, the amount of Oladapo hype in the stream on Saturday was
I'm so sad I missed it.
it was incredible. I
missing
know. I
that
was like,
video
oh man,
today.
JJ's not going to be here when his, one of his guys is getting picked. It's like,
Yeah.
I think
It's
I
okay.
think we brought enough excitement with for you. I think we brought it up as much as we can to match yours
Oladapo
as a unit.
followed me on Twitter.
Yeah, you got
He DM'd me. He reached
Exactly.
out and sent me a DM. That
Yep.
more than makes
Yeah.
up for anything.
That's
I mean, I am
insane.
over the moon.
That's so cool.
that's
I
fantastic.
woke up to
Well,
that
and
this
the message was hilarious too because it was like, I'm not telling people this, but I'll tell you because I mess with you. Like, what? You guys are best friends? It's been like 2
I know
hours.
what's happening.
What's going on?
Well,
Does he think you're somebody else?
Well, we were doing all the nonsense on Saturday.
Right, we're screwing
JJ was
around.
talking to Oladapo like
He's making
man,
connections.
big
Yeah.
believer, like doing.
Oh, so funny. I think clearly what
I love
happened
him.
is he just stumbled across like one of my tweets where I was like losing my mind because
Sure.
him, and then he like visits my profile and sees, oh,
Oladapo
this
everywhere.
psycho tweeted about me like 15 times. I guess
Yeah.
he's my biggest fan. I'm gonna follow him. I guess this
Yeah.
guy's cool. That's clearly what happened. I just think it's hilarious.
That's if you wanted to like lessen the integrity thing and just go all in on that for next year's draft, just love everybody all the time.
Yeah.
Just tweeting about just go down the list. This guy's got serious, highlight videos and everything, and then just see how much clout you can get from that to get these guys to like you.
I know a couple of people who literally do that, and it annoys
Yeah,
me.
I'm sure.
I think so. Like, if you're going down the list of like the guys I'm excited about, I think that there is a cutoff of like at least 2 guys in our draft class who there's at least 1, maybe 2 UDFAs that I'm more excited for, and those
Fair
would be Peter Bowden, the long snapper. I'm excited that we got him, and
Sure.
I'm actually kind of in on wide receiver Julian Hicks out of Albany.
I
He
need
is
some
a
of that Albany film.
stinking
Yeah.
good player. Julian Hicks, so his PFF grades are fine. They're not like incredible, but he had a 9.18 RAS, and as far as his productivity, he cracks the threshold that I'm looking for. The dude's from Albany, so there's like not that much info on him, but I'm kind of excited to see what he can do.
What a strange path. Central Michigan, Akron, Albany.
Right?
That is interesting.
Yep. Transferred twice and
Yeah.
basically never left. I mean, basically the MAC, right? Aren't 2
Yeah,
of those
the
schools
MAC.
in the MAC?
Yeah, and then goes to Albany. Listen, Albany.
I remember
we
him.
didn't start talking about that place. Jared Verse was there. Like,
Ohio State played Akron a couple years ago, and I remember him.
do
I
you?
remember talking about him.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't remember for 1,000,000% sure that he was in that game, but Akron was definitely on my radar for a while after that because of that game, because it was a little bit of a spicier game than you would expect. So I remember the name Julian Hicks.
I'm like looking for because like he missed 2021. I didn't even see that.
I think 2021 is when we played them, but
I have there's
20
no data for him. Between
2022, I was still keeping tabs on on Akron, the Zips.
Okay. Well, now I'm interested. I'm about to DM some folks. See what
We
can
apparently
find on
have
this.
invited a guy to camp from UW Lacrosse. That's pretty funny.
We invited like 27 guys to camp. I think I got the whole list here.
Are we taking this
Do you?
competition thing a little too far? I don't know. 27 guys to rookie camp. Hello.
Man, we got a lot. Hold on. Isaiah McDuffie's first cousin Dylan McDuffie got invited to the rookie minicap. He is a running back out of Kansas.
Nice.
Like we couldn't do the Melton thing. We got to do the McDuffie thing.
We could not bring ourselves to draft Amon-Ra St. Brown ahead of freaking Amari Rogers. So no,
Didn't we do
why
that
not?
with Aaron Jones's brother? Like for 2 or 3 straight
Yeah.
years, we kept bringing him in.
Alton.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we got Wisconsin offensive lineman Michael Fernie, Kansas cornerback Kalen Jervin, It's a hard name to say, actually.
That's a name.
Wide receiver Drew Dixon out of Arizona. Tight end Devin Garrison out of Pittsburgh State, which is a D2 school. Offensive lineman Michael Bertoya. I think that's the UW lacrosse guy you were looking at. Safety Don Callis out of Troy. Linebacker Logan Blake, Eastern Kentucky. Defensive tackle Jake Daly, FIU. Kicker Alex McNulty out of Buffalo. And somehow people are already excited about this guy and thinking that he needs to replace Honors.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter who he is.
Yeah. He could have missed 9 out of every 10 kicks. The fact that he's there at rookie minicamp is just reason enough to be like, oh man,
that's the guy.
I'm riding for him all summer long. It's like, oh, he didn't even get out of rookie mini. Oh,
and then
minicamp, darn it,
Duke Punter.
Yep.
Duke Punter. Did you guys see that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Easton Butler tweeted that we had invited Duke Punter and then just left the name blank. Like clearly he meant to type the name and then didn't. And so somebody, I think it was Tyler Herrick from Cheesehead TV. It might have been somebody else, but somebody quoted it and said, if he wins a job, then the Packers get to name him.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny.
Yeah. So his current name is Porter Wilson, but we'll see what the Packers name him. So there's more guys, but those are the ones that I have in front of me.
Okay.
So
I know Donovan Jennings is a big UDFA signing too. That it was like they met with him a couple times, right? Mm-hmm. They've done their homework at the very least. So that one wasn't too surprising.
What do you think about the Michigan offensive lineman we signed?
I'm gonna have to dive into him more because I got to a few of the Michigan linemen. I watched a little bit, enough to kind of just get some initial thoughts, but it was more of like, all right, how's Henderson? How's Nugent? How's Zinter, of course, how's Barnhart? But like, I'm going to have to get more on him because, whether you think the line, which I think objectively wasn't as good as it was in 22, mm-hmm. still good enough to, right. to kind of push people around all year long. So, definitely worth a look. And yeah, I saw that the Commanders. Oh, I'm not gonna. No, I got I'm leaving it alone.
I'm leaving it alone.
Yeah, I'm leaving too old for this. Oh, you said it. Okay.
Too old for this. Bologna. He's not your cousin. Quit lying to us. You just found a guy with a goofy name. Said he was your cousin, and now you're pretending that you never ever considered that Yankee.
Oh yeah, never crossed my mind that would be.
Hey, here's a UDFA that I'm not seeing it with. So Arizona State tight end Messiah Swinson has a cool name.
Yep.
He's like never had a competent PFF grade in his life. He was a 47.8 this past year, and he has a 151 RAS. It kind of reminds me of, there was a wide receiver we signed last year in the UDFA, and he had like a 0.99 RAS. His 40 time was like a 4.92 or something horrific. And I remember seeing people like getting hyped about like, well, maybe he could be like, a wide receiver 4 or 5 or something. Like, I think this guy's making waves in camp. And I'm like, I don't know how he could possibly be making waves unless he's like rocking the Kool-Aid container. Like
that was outright disrespect to Wicks last year. We don't stand for that.
Right.
So
what? How is that disrespectful to Wicks? Wicks is wide receiver 1.
No, I know, but I think the overwhelming sentiment was that he was potentially 4, right? Once he was drafted.
Yeah.
I mean, based on 2022, I think it was very evident.
Well, this year in camp, I think people are going to be talking about like, I wonder if Christian Watson is even going to make the team. Romeo Doubs won't make the team.
I keep thinking I'm going to get excited for camp, and then I think about all the comments, and it's like, no, I'm not going to be excited.
Ryan, let's be miserable. Turn your attention to college.
Yeah, I guess.
For the Green Bay draft,
Yeah, exactly.
Just turn your eye. Wait for Arizona. 2 Arizona corners. I just got it. You said your names. Ephesians Prysock is a corner from Arizona. I'm like, man, Preach,
I
okay?
was looking
Like,
at him today. I've never heard
let's
of him
go.
before this morning.
So yeah, we're already on that. Looking at names.
Did you guys catch any of the Samori Toure talk during the draft? People were speculating that maybe the Packers would trade Toure for a draft pick to try and move up. As though
Who's trading for him?
Exactly.
I need to understand that. I don't know who's making a move here.
It reminds me a little bit of when Michael Scott is the reality is sinking in for him that this condo that he's buying is like, way more expensive than he can afford, and he's like, Dwight, as a reward for just how great you've been today, I'm gonna allow you to rent my third bedroom from me. It's just, I feel like or maybe the Cowboys calling people around asking hey, what would you give us for Taco Charlton?
Right. Well, that was the one thing, right? Like the Cowboys didn't draft a running back, and so people are kind of like, oh, who should the Cowboys be trading for?
To be fair, the Cowboys didn't really draft anybody. They got Marshawn Nealon, but
they did draft Nealon. They did. This is true.
We need a good nickname, or I don't know, like a saying or something. Play off of the word Hopper, the name Hopper. There's got to be something cool out there. It's a name that can either be really cool or really stupid, and we need to make sure that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. SCM40's comment is perfect. That's like every fan for every team, though. It's like, oh, maybe the other teams don't know that these players are bad, so we can maybe trade them. It's like, no, they know. They're aware. They have pro scouts for a reason. They're taking a look at people, though. So yeah,
maybe it's because they have been watching teams like the Bears sign and trade for junk for years.
That's fair. You watch the Bears trade for Claypool, and then you have then you start to wonder. Start to wonder. You're like, wait a minute,
the dude's in the CFL or something now. I can't remember if he's in the UFL or the CFL, but he's somewhere. Man, the UFL is chock full of crappy former Packers who are just like carving it up, and like,
Darius Shepard for St. Louis.
Oh, Darius Shepard. Oh gosh,
him and Hakeem Butler are like crushing it for St. Louis right now.
Oh,
so
I can't have Darius Shepard back in Green Bay again. I can't take it.
Don't worry. I think we're deep enough.
Running back Trey Carson. Like I have PTSD of having them on the roster. Thank you, Cody, for bringing it back full circle. We never did say who our favorite pick of the Packers draft. Okay, Ryan, it's your turn.
Wait, yeah, we didn't do that. That's right.
It's your turn, Ryan. Who's your favorite pick?
Oh, it's going to get a lot worse when I say I don't know. I think we kind of talked about it on the stream too, where it's like the best pick is probably Morgan. The one I was most excited about was Bullard. I'm starting to, even though there's a good chance he's not really going to play or play much, I'm really starting to get excited about Evan Williams. The more that I see of him and the way that he plays and everything. I don't know. It's probably just because everyone's throwing highlights all over, but I'm really starting to get jacked about the way he plays.
I want to get excited. I'm not there with him yet, and I really want to. I need to go just watch like some highlight reels of him.
Yeah, that'll get you there.
Yeah.
And least favorite pick.
I mean, it's probably Hopper. I need to go back and really watch to be sure that I don't care for Hopper, but yeah, I mean, it's the early. I mean, third round is still pretty early, and it just, I'm not there.
Yeah, my favorite is Bullard. It's hard. I think Cooper's right there. I was super hyped with how round 2 went for Green Bay.
Yeah,
I was having a blast with how that was going. It was just kind of like maybe, day 1 was kind of like the day where, there's so much build up and you're kind of like, oh, that was not what I wanted or what I expected. And then just day 2, which again, Morgan's probably going to be the best pick when all is said and done. And I kind of like that because everyone was kind of underwhelmed. But like day 2 just started out. Goody was like just cooking in the second round, and I'm just like, I'm here for this. So yeah, it's probably Bullard slightly slightly ahead of Edgerrin Cooper. Least favorite, probably just because the film was fresh in the mind. I think I watched him like Tuesday. It was Glover. I'm just wondering the movement skills and like how footwork really wasn't, developed or corrected a lot in that much time there. That has me a little concerned about it. And when it was like Sundell's there, would love to see that happen. I think we were all kind of clamoring for that on stream, like every single pick down the stretch, and it didn't happen. But yeah, that's probably where I lean.
I think as far as least favorite, I was definitely like whatever the opposite of excited is. That's not like super negative, but just like, I don't know. I was just underwhelmed. We had this string of picks from Marshawn Lloyd, Tyron Hopper, and Evan Williams, where I was just like, all these guys I love are flying off the draft board. Can we take somebody that I've wanted like at all?
Yeah, I agree. I get that.
I think probably my most favorite pick is going to have to be Jordan Morgan. Probably.
What? My mind is blown. Oh my gosh, he's jumped off the Oladapo train that quickly? Oh no. Oh no.
He's watching and he just unfollowed you, just so you know.
I'm at like a 10 for excitement on Oladapo.
There we go.
And on Michael Pratt. But as far as like who can impact the team the most, it's got to be Morgan. So we took all these guys, linebacker, running back, and all this, slot nickel, whatever, who like, hey, if they maximize their potential, yay, how much does it actually move the needle for us? Whereas if Jordan Morgan is a stud offensive lineman, that's game changing. Our offensive line sucked buns last year. It was horrible. It was so frustrating. I know that they, were like only the 17th best in the league or whatever. Like it wasn't actually that bad. It was middle of the pack, but like you're not winning a Super Bowl with that.
Right.
You're going to win a Super Bowl if you have a good offensive line. And if he ends up playing guard, great. We really need guard help. Yeah. Like if the only 2024 impact of this draft is that we have the same tackles we had last year, the same center, the same left guard, but we're upgrading to Jordan Morgan playing lights out at right guard, I still think that moves the needle in a humongous way for us. And he's super young. Like he's already really good right now, and everybody who watches him says, yeah, here's some areas where he has a lot of room to grow in these areas and take his game from great to incredible. So I just think that he has the most potential in this class, to impact our odds of winning a Super Bowl.
I think what you're saying is exactly what I was saying almost. I think you kind of got yourself where I'm at, where I'm like, I think Jordan Morgan's probably the best pick they made. It wasn't my favorite, right? I think you're saying like Oladapo, Pratt are your favorite picks, but like
sure, yeah,
you're spinning it to like Jordan Morgan's probably the best pick they made, which I think I'm pretty much in agreement that I think like the best pick when you sit down and you're like, forget about all the emotions of like the buildup of day one, and you're like kind of like, oh, that was underwhelming. It's kind of like, well, yeah, but it's a tackle like who probably could eventually play tackle at high level, could probably potentially play guard at a high level. Like that type of value is maybe just a little overlooked for guys we just like to watch run around and hit people with a lot of the picks. So I think that's where you're getting at, which is.
And make me stick to favorite and least favorite, then favorite is a tie between Oladapo and Pratt, and least favorite is Travis Glover, because I just don't really know why. He's kind of to me now. We don't have an RAS on him, so that's probably a good thing because at least it's not bad. But he kind of to me is like the Jonathan Ford pick a couple of years ago. Like, okay, whatever, it's a late round pick, who cares? But also, I just don't know why he's here. So.
We don't have an RAS?
I don't have an RAS for Travis Glover.
I got a 4.71 is what I see here.
You could have just kept that to yourself, and then I would not be even sadder than I was 10 minutes ago.
I was gonna say, I thought I brought up the graphic JJ on stream of Glover's actually when he was picked, because I had just written his up just in case.
I'm pulling this up. I want to
471.
see.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
34 and 3/4 inch arms. I mean, that's arm length. That's pretty good.
In other words, he literally can't play guard. So his only opportunity to impact is going to be a tackle.
Right. Which is like that's maybe the one regret is like kind of if they're like, which is fine, they're on board with Morgan being tackle. Who gives a crap what I think about grading him as a guard? Like, who cares? Like, if they
that's right. Adam's pointing out his agility is not good. I remember seeing his short shuttle, which is the one I care about the most, is like well below average.
It's 4.8. It's 4.8.
Yeah, just
but like
I don't know why we drafted the guy.
Yeah, but if they believe like Jordan Morgan like is playing left tackle, like I said, who cares what I think about him? Then I'm kind of like, okay, interior offensive line. So we've done a little bit more in that regard in this draft. Like, I know they needed safety. I know they need a linebacker.
Yeah,
I wasn't as big on like grabbing the RB2 that early, but like, oh well, like I totally understand it. I just would
draft
like
a guard
to see
in
more.
the first round. I'll take it. I don't care. We need a guard really bad. Guard is important.
Right.
Fine. I'll take it.
Yeah. I was just kind of surprised that there weren't more picks thrown that direction, because I agree. I think Glover is just a tackle. So, yeah. I don't know.
So I'll just go ahead and take an L. I talked all pre-draft season about, hey, the Packers are not going to reach for need, and this guard class is incredible, and the wide receiver class is incredible. And Goody's like, hey, how about some linebackers and safeties? Remember how you said you hated the linebacker and safety class? Oh, how about a third round running back? Remember you said you didn't like the running back class? So,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I was way off this year.
It's fine.
Travis Glover is already better than Royce. I don't know about that, man.
I don't know.
It's a
How
tie.
about that one.
I don't know.
Glover is a right tackle only. Why is he a right tackle only? Why can't he play left tackle? I should say, what about him makes it so that he could play right tackle but not play left tackle? That's what I want to know. The size?
We always make these
big
declarations about guys flipping sides. He has played. Yeah, he's played 1,300 at right tackle, but he's also played 2,300. He's played the same amount of snaps at left tackle that Jordan Morgan has. Exactly the same number. 2,392.
Of course, you remember that.
I mean, I've just stared at it the last week.
Adam says just pretend that they drafted Donovan Jennings and Glover was a UDFA. Here's the thing. That doesn't solve my problem because Goody is going to keep all his draft picks.
That's true.
So Glover is here to stay regardless. I mean, I think Jonathan Ford is still here. I think he's still on the roster today.
Yeah.
He is.
Despite the fact that he plays nothing. He doesn't have a position. He's the water boy.
Everybody's favorite darling receiver.
He had one cool play in college where he frog splashed a guy out of bounds, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And Samori Toure had one cool play where he danced in the end zone. That's why he's still here.
The play with Rodgers against Buffalo where he improvised, which is, again, glad that he did that. That's a savvy move, but like
in a game we lost. Like,
yeah.
Just who? Right. I mean, I can't, there's nothing there. I need to stop talking about Toure.
Yeah, I think we gotta. Yeah.
He will not be following you anytime soon.
I can't believe that Toure has never blocked me on Twitter because Oren Burks blocked me on Twitter a few years ago. I don't think any other players have. I think it's just Oren Burks. But I have talked way more crap about Samori Toure than I ever did about Oren Burks. Like, basically all I ever said about Oren Burks is, wow, he's not that good. And Samori, I have basically said, like, Goody, please cut him. Day 2, Goody, please cut him. Day 3, Goody, please cut him. I can't believe he's never blocked
I'm
me.
reminded of that, like, the Gordon Ramsay meme. Where it's like, oh no, precious. You flipping donkey. Like, it has those two things, and like one of those is Toure and one of those is Newman for you. It's just like, oh darn, it's okay. It's okay. With Royce, you're kind of like, we know he's bad, but we got to let him down easy. And with Toure, you're just like, no, he can handle it.
You know why too? It's because those two guys have like opposite reputations among
Right.
the fans. Like everybody loves Toure and
That's
hates
true.
Newman, and so I have to be the contrarian. I'm like, man, you guys are dogging Royce a little bit too hard there. God, fire Samori Toure into the sun. So that's all it is. I'm just being a jerk.
It's fine.
JJ getting more blocks than DeGuara out here. I remember after Oren Burks blocked me, I just posted a screenshot of it and I said, well, he can block better on Twitter than he can on special teams.
Jeez. Alrighty. I don't think is there a whole lot else to cover. I mean, we've got 90
I
minutes.
think we got it.
But is there a player that you're kind of getting off, but like a little bit, like where you're like, oh, he went to this team. I don't like that for Green Bay.
Detroit.
Yeah, I was gonna say Detroit getting like I didn't like Rakestraw very much, but that was like like a corner one prospect. Like they already have Arnold, and they signed Carlton Davis or traded for him or something like that. Like Rakestraw is going to be their slot corner, and it's going to let him move Brian Branch to safety, and they have Terrion Arnold. So their big hole on the whole team was that their secondary was like dog water.
Yep.
And like unless half of the guys that they added this offseason or more are terrible, they have fixed their secondary. Like they've added plenty of guys who have enough talent that it should be fine, So I don't like that. I don't care about the Vikings or the Bears this year. Like they're going to be terrible. So, as far as like competition for the division, I don't like that the Lions were able to just fix their biggest hole. They still don't have another edge opposite Aiden Hutchinson, and they have no guards on the roster right now. I don't think they drafted any guards.
They did draft Mahogany.
Yeah, I can live with that. I was not a big Mahogany fan.
Well, I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying they did draft one.
Yeah. So, yeah, it made me happy that the Detroit gave away all their 2025 picks, but yeah, we'll see. I'd like it better if Detroit was a little suckier. I'm kind of used to like Minnesota being about the level of good that Detroit is right now.
Sure.
I think the fact that it's a different team makes me uncomfortable. It's kind of like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. Like I am comfortable with, we got to take the Vikings seriously. I'm not comfortable with we got to take the Lions seriously.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. They did what they needed to do. Philly kind of did the same thing. It was kind of like, we need secondary because, it was horrible last year. And they're like, let's go get, Mitchell and DeJean. It's like even if DeJean's playing the slot, like I feel like that scheme is more suited to DeJean than maybe what he would have been doing here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's the one thing. And then of course San Francisco getting Pooney, it's just destroyed me.
I try to just not think about San Francisco ever.
I get it. Yep, it's fair.
But their draft class this year, they took Ricky Pearsall at 31. That was hilarious. Renardo Green, I liked, but I didn't second round like him. I liked him a lot later than that. Pooney, they got in a great spot.
I'm so mad.
Mustafa.
I'm still so upset about Pooney going there.
I mean, basically, I think the only good player they drafted was Pooney. I'm kind of okay with the rest of it. Like, that Garendo is going to go there and be a freak because it's the 49ers. And, like, only Trey, what's his name? What's that guy's name?
What? Which guy?
The running back that they drafted in the third round who sucked.
Trey Sermon?
Trey Sermon. Yeah, Trey Sermon's like the only running back who's ever not been able to make it work in San Francisco.
I would have been a little more concerned if they drafted Jalen Wright, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but Wright went in like the second round, didn't he?
No, he was not taken the first 2 days.
You were right about Estimate falling pretty far.
Yeah, I figured the NFL was going to do that.
Yeah.
But
so,
I mean, yes, me too, of course. Absolutely, of course. I hate that the Bears got Dunze because freaking loved watching Odunze play since fall of 22, and I thought he might declare for 2023. So just the fact that like I've enjoyed watching him play this long, and he has to go to Chicago, I hate it. I hate it so much. It doesn't matter whether or not that makes them, really, it's just I get it. Should have traded down. Should have taken offensive linemen. Should have done a lot of things with that pick instead. But like just the fact that they took Rome. I was very depressed about an hour in on Thursday that he was going to be a Bear.
So Rome
just like
is
anywhere
like
else, man.
Super likable kid. Like I like the heck out of him as a person, and so that sucked seeing him go to Chicago.
That's
and
even worse too.
Frankly, like I know we make a lot of jokes about him, but I do like Caleb Williams as a person. Actually, just saying, like, I'm not going to not make jokes about the purse and the nail polish and crying on the sideline, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to not make jokes about that, but I do actually really like Caleb, and I like Rome, so that kind of made me sad.
Yeah, Bill's getting Bishop. Yeah.
Bill's got somebody else that I really wanted. I didn't care about Bishop, but who did the Bills take that I really wanted?
I don't know. Were you a Van Pran guy?
No.
Okay, so not him.
Okay, here's
Ryan. Do you have anyone that you're like other than me? I don't know if you want to.
I laughed my butt off that
like
the
kind of
Bills took Keon Coleman.
Yeah, that was.
I'm sure there were several. I can't remember. Whoever got Lauby made me sad.
Oh, the Raiders. The Raiders got interesting. Lauby, Bowers, JPJ. They got a lot of.
Yeah, and they took another tight end too, didn't they?
Yeah, they took Bowers, Mayer and Bowers. 12 personnel.
Yeah. And they took Mayer last year in the first round, and Bowers in the first round this year. So like, you know how like the whole don't draft tight ends in the first round thing. The Raiders like.
Well, Mayer they took in the second, but
yeah,
they did take them both. I think top 40.
Mayer went in the second round. Oh, that's right. No, it was the Bills tight end who was in the first round.
Yeah, Kincaid went first round.
Kincaid, yeah. Well, should we get out of here?
Mike Hebring's already like full like don't like the Bears guys, which
I'm with you, Mike. I think they're garbage. I know nothing about Rome Odunze. I watched him once, probably a month and a half ago. I couldn't tell you anything about him. All I know is he's garbage. He's terrible. He's a terrible human being, and he sucks at football. But so I hear you, Mike. And Terrion Arnold, bum. Oh, Rakestraw. I thought I liked him. I thought about it. Turns out, I hate him. He sucks.
I told you he sucked. Remember the first thing you and I ever discussed
you're right.
about this
You're right.
Was you were like, man, Rakestraw's the guy. I'm like, dude, Rakestraw's terrible. Look at you coming around. Rakestraw's terrible.
Are you there with Dallas Turner now too?
You mentioned it, and I really gave it a hard thought, and I said, JJ's right. That guy is garbage.
the way you said that though can also sound like JJ's garbage.
Right. Well, that's a Vikings conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you Ryan? Are you out on Turner now officially? That the Vikings moved up for him?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, yep. There we go. Completely out. Deserved to go after Latu.
I made a couple mistakes, and all of them were drafted by our rivals.
Well, on that,
they might not be mistakes though.
I said what I said.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
You guys got anything else? I know Jake has more he wants to say.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there's more on the draft, but like I'll just put those rants in pods for y'all this week on the feed. That's what I'll do.
You better deliver on that.
We'll get there. Oh yeah.
In the words of the late great Mr. Katana Oladapo.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Go Pack Go.